Hey guys, I want to welcome you to the Men Who Don't Fit In YouTube channel. This channel is meant to be a companion medium to a podcast of the same name. The podcast is currently in production. I am working on it now. I've got a few holdups that are keeping me from getting it out there the way I want to. But in the absence of getting that done, I've kind of thought about it and decided I've got all of this groundwork laid. I've got this YouTube channel that I've intended to, like I say, be a companion piece in a sense where I can kind of share stuff as I go along and get out and go on the adventures I tend to find myself going on. And thought it would be a great opportunity to kind of at least get moving in a creative direction. It's been 11 or 12 years since I've been on this side of a camera, and I have been on this side of a camera, so I'm not incredibly uncomfortable with it, but it may take a while to shake the rust off. My intention, I guess I should really frame this with some context. My intention with the podcast, The Men Who Don't Fit In, is to explore and talk about all the many different things that we can do when we get outside. I feel like there are a million benefits for anyone to get outside. And science and medicine are starting to wake up and recognize that. But more so than anything, I kind of have a story I want to tell. I mean, I want to tell my story. And it is a long story. But over the last few years, some very unfortunate and very painful things have happened in my life, and in that process I realized that the place that I continually found myself being drawn to was the backcountry, somewhere in the wilderness, somewhere on an adventure, somewhere trying to see new things I haven't seen before. And I found that in the wilderness there was a lot of answers and a lot of healing for me in that. And in the last year and a half, particularly as I've gone about, I've been very fortunate, very blessed to be given the opportunity to travel because of my work. And I took full advantage of those opportunities. And I went out and I got to see some of our incredible national parks like Yosemite, like Grand Canyon, and tons of small unknown state parks in California in the Central Coast region. And there's so many incredible things out there to see. But as I've gone about doing that, this last year and a half, it's been particularly important to me to meet people and socialize and get to know them, get to talk to them. And I found so much value in meeting those people, and it's become one of my favorite parts of traveling and getting outside, getting out in the backcountry, into the wilderness, on the rivers, on the mountains, on the hiking trails. And one thing that I've noticed, see, most of my life I've kind of been an odd duck. I've kind of been a man who doesn't fit in. See, there's a tie in here, and we'll get to that. I've always been kind of an odd duck. I've always been a little bit of a loner. Some people have played that up to be a lot more than it actually is, but a lot of people don't understand me either. And a lot of you can probably relate to that. You know, a lot of people that don't take the time to understand you. But I always thought that I was kind of a strange one, that I was the odd duck, that I was a problem. And as I've gone out and I've gone a-seeking, what I've discovered through talking to all these really awesome people that I've met all over this country now, and from all over this country, is that I'm not alone. There are a lot of people like me that think like I do and see the way I do and see this world and all of these things around us in the same way I do, with a sense of awe and respect and wonderment, and also a recognition of our inherent connection to this earth. Like, for all of recorded human history, as far back as we know, however far back human civilization actually goes, nobody knows, But as far back as that goes, up until roughly 150 years ago to 200 years ago, ballpark, we lived and died by the wilderness. We lived and died by the land. We have adapted through generations, multiple, hundreds of generations, in ways that are dependent on nature. It's a part of our genes. It's a part of our genetic code is what I'm getting at. And I'm meeting people that recognize that there are answers and there is peace and there is calm in the wilderness. Because at the very fabric of our beings is a connection to this, a connection to the land, a connection to outside. And what I want to do with the Men Who Don't Fit In as a podcast, and probably to a lesser degree this YouTube channel, because I want this YouTube channel to be more about documenting the adventures and the things that I see and I go on. I don't want to get too deep and wax too philosophical. That's what I kind of intend for the podcast. But what I intend with this as a more overarching theme is to encourage people, everybody, to get out and see. And for all of you who might find yourself as being men and women who don't fit in, to embrace it and go out and see and do. All of us have jobs. I have a job. I work between 40 and 50 hours a week, and certain times a year, upwards of 60 hours a week. I have weekends off, fortunately, for the first time in many, many years. And in the time that I have off, where I do not have other responsibilities, I take that time to go and be. I just came from the Mulberry River this last weekend, and I had a great weekend. I met some people from Louisiana who were absolutely awesome people. I met another gentleman from over near Oklahoma City who was a really cool guy. I met a lot of great people and had a lot of fun with them on the river. Caught fish, swam, ran the rapids. The water was perfect this weekend. And what I want to demonstrate to people is to not be intimidated by the idea, I have this 40-hour work week, I have this life, I have these responsibilities. I understand how hard it is to make time. I do understand that. But I want to show and demonstrate that it's not that complex of an operation to make a little bit of time, to get out and do. And when you see the benefits of how you feel, and how much calmer you are when you disconnect for a day or two, or even 3 if you're lucky, that maybe you'll go more and more. Because the ultimate goal is for you to recognize, and if you're watching this or listening to the podcast, when I finally get it all together, there's a good chance you are a person that has that call inside of you, that draws you to be outside, that enjoys. You may already hike, you may already camp, you may already canoe, kayak. There's so many things, mountain bike, that you can do. And I guess in a way I intend this to be a little bit of a support group too, for all of us to recognize that we're not alone, and that we don't have to be Bear Grylls, and that we don't have to be the men of old like Ansel Adams, and all of these other men, that was cool, and women who in a different time, in a different era, in a different generation, were able to do different things and spend all of their time outside. We don't live like that anymore, and it's not necessary for us to live like that anymore, to go out and do and be a part of this and be connected to this. My overarching goal is to encourage everyone to get outside, and at the same time, for those of us who are the oddballs and feel out of place and always have, to recognize that we're not out of place. We have a place, and that place is out here, and that I think there's an even greater reason for that. We do have something to contribute. It's the folks like us who bring the Yosemites to the world, that do not go out and see. It's the folks like us that are the painters, the artists, the photographers, the musicians, the poets, the authors. Those are the people. They follow that call, they embrace their otherwise known as awkwardness, and they go out and they see and they do, and then they record it and they bring it back to share it. And that's where we fit in to the big scheme of things. The whole idea of this podcast and this YouTube channel, the whole concept is based on a poem written by Robert Service called The Men Who Don't Fit In, hence the namesake. And I'm not going to sit here and recite the whole poem to you. I hope that you will go and look it up and read it for yourself. It's an excellent poem. But the first couple of stanzas are, there's a race of men that don't fit in, a race that can't sit still. So they break the hearts of kith and kin and roam the world at will. It goes on to encapsulate an idea of a group of people who aren't content to sit on their laurels. A group of people who aren't content to go through the plodding 9 to 5 without having more in their lives. We all have to do that. But there's a group of people, even in his day, in 1911, when this poem was published, that are the adventurers, the explorers, the photographers, the hikers, the climbers, the people who bring back what all wonders and awes that this world has to offer us for everyone else to see. And that's who we are, and that's where we fit in. So though we don't fit in with what most want us to conform to, we do have our place, and it's an important place. Because if we were all the folks, as Robert Service calls later in the poem, the steady plodding ones that win in the lifelong race, if we were all the 9 to 5ers, if we were all the engineers, if we were all the mathematicians and the industrialists and the people who are important because they drive economy, and thence we all get to eat, if we were all them, then we would have a world devoid of national parks and Yosemites, because we'd be pumping oil out of all of them or building wind farms on them, because it all becomes about the bottom dollar. It all becomes about economy. It all becomes about progress, so to speak. But with all things in the world, there has to be balance. The whole world would look like, I don't know, what's a post-industrial revolution city? I mean, Pittsburgh in the 1890s, 1900, nothing but smokestacks and acid rain. The whole world would look like that if everyone were the same and everyone were the steady plodding ones. But it doesn't. There are still refuges all over this earth. And why is that? It's because of Ansel Adams. It's because of Robert Services. It's because of all those men who went out, saw, and did, and brought it back, and showed the rest of the world and reminded people there's more to this than just us. There's more to this than just our little sedentary lifestyle. There's more to the world. There's more to us than this. And that's where we, as people who don't fit in, do indeed actually fit in. We have a place, and it's an important place, and it's easy to forget that place because people, for whatever reason that I have not yet figured out, want us to forget that place. People want to force us to conformity. They want us to be cookie cutter humans. And everyone to fall into, I mean, gosh, I guess that's a problem that pervades the world, but I don't want to be political or religious at all in any of this. And so I will avoid that. But that's a problem that plagues humanity from the dawn of civilization, is people wanting everyone to be like them, and that just doesn't really work, does it? So I hope that this YouTube channel, as I go about, and I have a few adventures coming up because work has afforded me the opportunity to go and see a little bit more of the world, it looks like. And I hope that this YouTube channel serves as something to entertain you, and more so than that, inspire you to go out and do your own thing. You don't have to travel all the way around the world to see awesome stuff. Just like I mentioned, I was on the Mulberry River last weekend. I live in an area pretty devoid of recreational opportunity within an hour's drive in any direction, but get off work on Friday and an hour away is a beautiful scenic river with great fishing, with great people, with great kayaking. Class 2 and 3 rapids was where the level was at for us on Saturday, and it was wonderful. It was a lot of fun. You don't have to travel far to go out and do. And I hope that that's what this serves the purpose of doing. To entertain, but also inspire.